I'm doing a head gasket on my truck here. It's old 89 or a 1990 Cummins. So I got the turbo off. I'm doing the AC compressor while I'm at it. So I've got all the radiator hoses off. The bracket for the AC compressor's off. Pulled that apart. Took the belt tensioner off. You got various cables and brackets holding everything on. I'm going to rebuild that turbo while it's off and reseal it. I'm in the process of getting these injection lines off the pump side at this point, and took the throttle bracket off, so that's out of my way. I had to get some short wrenches to try to get down in here. And these smaller these back lines here, I'm having trouble getting to them. It's a tedious job, but it's a nice day and I got some time to do it. I got a problem where I get this thing up to highway speeds and it just starts running really hot. And I put thermostats in it, radiator, water pump, changed the coolant, vacuum lifted the coolant system, and it's just no change at all. So I'm wondering if I just got a balloon head gasket or a cracked head or something. So I'm gonna hopefully figure that out when I get it apart here. Hopefully. So I'm taking these head bolts out. I take them out at the ends first, alternate from either end till you work your way into the middle. The whole point behind that is to keep down on putting too much stress on the head. You don't want to pull them out in the center first. And vice versa on the installation. You want to torque your bolts in the sequence they give you. If you notice, it's normally from the inside out. So work your way from the middle to the outside when you're torquing everything down. But when you're removing, I always start from the outside and work my way in. So I'm loosening all these up, pull the rockers off, and pull out my push rods. And I just cut myself a little 4x4 here with some holes so I can put all my push rods in the proper position so I can get them back in where they came out of originally. So I'm gonna do that right now. Alright, I had to improvise a little bit because I'm doing this on some gravel, so it's not the ideal situation, but there she is. I have to check it for cracks and look it over really good, check the flatness on it. This head gasket, I still got honing marks on the cylinders. That's a good thing. Good crosshatch on those. I have to look at this head gasket real good to see if one of the fire rings is blowing by. And then check these coolant passages in the block, make sure they're all freed up, and go from there. Okay, so I think I found the bad spot here. You can see where I got exhaust going from right across these two cylinders here. Definitely not right there. Something let loose there. Wasn't sealing in the center between see 1, 3, 3 and 4 there. So that's probably my problem. I check that head real good and make sure that that's not cracked or anything, and check the flatness on it next here. Clean it up and see what. Alright, I'm also putting in a new heater element, block heater element. So I pulled the old one out, sandpapered that hole. I put a little WD-40, point the element down. And then work it in there. I need 2 hands to do that. Get it on evenly, but lube up that O-ring with something that's non-petroleum based, like antifreeze, or I think WD-40 would work too. But get it lined up, and there you go. Pops right in. So tighten that center nut right there to 120 inch-pounds, and that's all it takes. All right, got the new gasket on here. Cleaned up my block. Get all the gasket material off of there. You got alignment pins. You got one here. You got one in the back, between 5 and 6. Make sure that's sitting down there. This is a Cummins gasket set that I bought, so I think it's probably a little better quality than going to my local parts store, I hope. So try to get this head on and start torquing it down. Alright, when I put these head bolts on, I put a little bit of oil on the threads. Kind of helps when you're torquing them down. Short ones go on the manifold side, exhaust manifold side. The long ones are going to go down in your rockers. You got these metal sized bolts that they're going to go in the middle of the head here and on the sides here, basically the whole way back. Same thing. I got a set of PAI replacement head bolts, just because I figured that would be a good idea, since I don't want to do this or have any problems with old head bolts. So I'm going to torque these down next. So I torqued them in sequence to 66 foot-pounds, 89 foot-pounds, and then put 90 degrees on all of them. I just did it with my snap-on torque wrench. You just set your angle in there and go for it. Otherwise you could calculate your foot-pounds on that angle torque and just put the foot-pounds in. And then when I'm done, I torque stripe all these so I know I've done them, so I don't get confused. So that's done. I torque these down, these rocker bolts to I think they're 18 foot-pounds. I'll torque those down. They're snugged, but I gotta torque them down. And I'll start putting them back together, put this exhaust manifold on, and keep on going here. Alright, turbo is on. Put stainless steel studs and bolts on the manifold. Also, the old bolts are all rusted out, so I'm trying these stainless steel, this hardware here, new gaskets. So I'm gonna get this thing on. I got the drain, turbo drain, and you got your oil feed line. And I gotta put the intake on. Get this V-band clamp back on the turbo. Bolt up my studs, tighten up my EGT probe, and already torqued down these manifold bolts. So I'm gonna put the injectors on next. I'll have to take this off to do that, and then start putting the brackets on the other side for the cable, the throttle cable, and all that good stuff. Alright, putting these injection lines on from the pump, a little tricky. You want to do it in sequence. I believe I'll start with the front first. Just trying to gently line everything up so you're not going to bend any of the lines, and then start them all. And just kind of evenly get them all on there, and then come up over here, tighten all the injector connections up with the lines themselves. And then we'll tighten these up with a 17mm. Use a short wrench. Back one's on. Sneak in there, like so. Go on this bracket right here. I never take them out of the brackets unless you absolutely have to, but that's kind of it keeps them all together. Otherwise, you'd have a heck of a time figuring out where they all go. You just take them off the pump, take them off the brackets that hold them to the motor, but these brackets here, just leave them in there. And again, tighten them up on the injectors. Make sure everything starts nice and easy. I got one more bolt I'm gonna put in there, and then just tighten these ones up. I'll leave them loose on the injectors, so when I prime this thing, I'll have plenty of air in it, so I'll just leave those cracked open. And as I get fuel out of them, I'll tighten them up then. But for now, it's just going to be on the pump side. I'll tighten them. All right, I'm getting this compressor in here. Got this bracket on the back. Get the compressor up in there first. Put the bracket on the back on. Make sure that bracket on the top there in the front is not in your way, because that'll prevent everything from going in right. Once you get that on, I'm going to put these connections on first before I tighten the thing down for my the manifolds for the hoses. So I'm going to do that next. So this is, you got your manifold on there, high and low sides. I got the expansion valve I'm about to pull out. I'm changing all those hoses, dryer, and the discharge line, high pressure, low pressure lines, and I'm going to just blow the lines out here, the evaporator and condenser. You can see some of this crud in there, so I'm going to try to clean that out before I hook everything up and put it in a vacuum. So just getting the AC hooked up here right now. So you got these spacers here, these alignment pins, plastic pieces. Go down in there. got two different gaskets. You want the one with the middle that goes in. We want the indentation up, facing up. That'll fit over that. Once you torque this down, I'm going to push those the rest of the way down for you. And you got a gasket on the other side. You also got a pressure switch here. You got to take that pressure switch off and swap it over here. So that's your expansion valve here, expansion block. Takes the place of an orifice that you might find on a Chevy or other kind of vehicle, but this is a good design here. Hoping everything works well with this. I'm replacing pretty much everything on this truck, AC wise. I'm priming it. I got the injector lines loose on the injectors. Prime all that air out of them. So it's spitting all over the place trying to start, so I'm going to close those up and get her going here. Alright, she's running. Bit of a mess, so we got that air out of there. Take it out on the highway and see how it goes. Good. Alright, so my temp gauge is a lot better than where it was before. Before it was about, I don't know, almost sitting on the hot mark. And it's cruising at about 75 miles an hour now with it staying right around the middle there. So I think we got this one fixed here for good. I hope. Looking good so far. I think the only thing I'll do maybe is put a fan clutch in it. If it starts creeping up when it's just sitting idle and after you get off the road, might need a fan clutch. I've never changed it. It looks original, so probably time for a fan clutch, and this one's fixed. Thanks for watching.